He is Ian Fitzsimmons. I'm Freddie Coleman. Always appreciate you joining us on Freddie and Fitzsimmons on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80. Anytime a guest stops by to hang out with us, they're here thanks to the Goodyear Hotline. Let's talk to a young man who knows a lot about pro football in Los Angeles. His dad, Roman Gabriel, won the MVP back in 1969. He's one of the quarterback on the top NFL teams at that time. He is Roman Gabriel III. He leads a sold-out youth foundation, and he's also the host of the Roman Gabriel Show, and he joins us here thanks to the Goodyear Hotline. I'm going to start the team that your dad played so well for, the Rams. Roman, what has it been like with this organization where many people are talking Super Bowl involving the Rams in the NFC?
Well, first of all, you have to remember the history. I think it's been a great thing, first of all, to have the Rams back in Los Angeles. And if you talk to anybody who played for the Rams and fans that were there, for the glory days in the 60s and 70s, they'll tell you that this is going to be an exciting year. They didn't get in the new stadium last year, so they're fired up about that. But I think, Freddie, the 3 years in the Coliseum really paid dividends for the Rams because it brought together fans that really weren't aware of the Rams. That's kind of their new wave group of fans with the old fans that were so diehard. So when I went out there for a Packers game a few years ago, I was just stunned at just the love for my dad, for that generation of Rams. And, of course, they wore those throwback uniforms. I've been trying to get them to do it again, but it's very exciting to see what's going on in Los Angeles, and McVay's done a great job, and they've got a great opportunity this year. They've got a great defense and a quarterback that's hungry to win.
Your pops is a college football Hall of Famer. He's an NFL MVP. We can go on down the list of the accolades. What is it like for the son of a rock star to grow up and be like that? Because Tom Brady has sons. Matthew Stafford's got kids. We can go on down the list, right? What is it like to be the son of an MVP NFL quarterback?
Well, I was, 8, 9 years old, when that took place. So, my only goal in life was to be a quarterback like my father. And he showed the commitment and dedication it takes to make it at the professional level. And that's what I wanted to do since I was a kid, and it was an incredible ride. Back then, the game was different, as you both know, but the 70s was a golden era of quarterbacks. So the Rams were the biggest show in town back then, and my dad was a rock star, like you said. Him and Joe Namath and Johnny Unitas and Bart Starr, really were the superstars at that time. And so for me, it was incredible, as I was telling you earlier, to come back to see the Coliseum, not really unchanged. They made some facelifts to it, but to see Rams playing in that stadium, and then to have played in the USFL like I did, and to have played in that stadium where my dad played, and remembering being in that locker room with him and watching the way he played the game, which was he was the hardest working player I've ever seen. He'd be like the Tim Tebow today in terms of his work ethic and what he was one of the first players to be a year-round workout guy, first quarterback, first Filipino quarterback. And, I've been hitting Roger Goodell and David Baker hard every year, the last 3 years at the Hall of Fame, that I believe he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I believe his numbers stand up to that, and I believe the impact he had in the game deserves that.
Roman Gabriel III, son of Roman Gabriel, does a great job with the Roman Gabriel Show on YouTube, joining Freddie and Fitzsimmons on ESPN Radio. Speaking of quarterbacks of this day and age, rock star quarterbacks, you had a chance to have Tom Brady on your podcast, Roman. What was that like talking with him?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but, I started covering the NFL back in 1986. My first job, or 88, my first job was covering the locker room for the visitors of the Cardinals in Arizona. And my first Super Bowl was in '94 out in Arizona with the Steelers and the Cowboys. So I've been one of the longest running people. I've covered every Super Bowl since then. And in covering Tom Brady and every one of his Super Bowls, it's been an incredible time to have spoken to him all along the way. And I'll just say that, Tom is great with the press. He's been great with me all these years. And it's been tremendous to see, the way he approaches the game and what he's doing now, guys. There's no words to describe when you talk about the level of performance at his age and the way he's changed the quarterback position over his, you can easily say that over his last 5 years was better than his first 5.
What is something in talking to Tom Brady that you learned that you didn't know?
His passion for the process of the game is beyond belief. People ask all the time, how does this guy, each and every year get back up for making a drive for the Super Bowl and doesn't seem to ever take a year off? And probably the best description of him is I was talking to his agent a couple of years ago, and he was on my show, and I said, you've known Tom for 26 years. Tell me what separates this guy? And he said, Roman, he said, there are guys that get it done, most of the year. And he said, there are guys that are great during the season. There are guys that are great, after the season after they take a couple of weeks off. But he said, Tom Brady is that way every single day. He's looking to get better every day. He's humble and he doesn't think he's ever made it. And he's got a chip on his shoulder, but he just loves the process, practicing, studying the game, playing the game, just everything that comes with it. And so, everybody you talk to that's around him that plays with him, and over the years I've covered the Patriots, I'm good friends with Matthew Slater. And Matthew Slater said after he left, he said one of the hardest things wasn't so much his production, but just what Tom meant to the Patriots as a leader and a friend.
Wow, great stuff by Roman Gabriel from the Roman Gabriel Show podcast. Hit him on Twitter, Roman Gabriel 3rd, joining Freddie Coleman and Ian Fitzsimmons on Freddie and Fitzsimmons on ESPN Radio. He's the top dog again with Tampa Bay. In your opinion, Roman, you got the Rams, you got the Green Bay Packers, of course. You got so many different teams in the NFC. Who is the biggest challenger to Tampa Bay in the NFC in 2021?
I think it's going to be obviously the Packers, have ability to make another run. The Rams are going to be there with the way they play defense. I think this is going to be a breakout year for them. And I also think Seattle will be there. But, guys, the thing I'm most concerned about this year is the extra game. The extra games changed the preseason preparation, as you know. So it's going to be really interesting to see a guy like Dak Prescott, who hasn't played in months in a real game, playing against the best defense in the NFL, coming off a serious ankle injury and a shoulder injury, and just a lot of the starters that a lot of these guys didn't play at all in the preseason. So it's going to be really interesting to see how guys tackle, because they don't tackle anyways. And just injury-wise, who's going to be the team that's going to be there at the end to make their run? And that's what happened with Tampa last year. They started 7-5, and then they won 8 in a row. So, I think the Chiefs are definitely going to be there. I think they're going to be hungry. It might take them a little bit to get used to their offensive line. But I'm with you. I think Tampa, with all their players back, and I hear nothing from their camp except for we're so light years ahead of last year, and that's scary, when you're talking about Tom Brady. So everything comes down to health, but I think they got to be the favorites.
On a much broader note, your dad was a great basketball player, baseball player,
yeah,
and obviously, a tremendous, an NFL MVP, right? I mean,
1969
as a quarterback
yep.
in the National Football League.
He was drafted number 1 by the Yankees.
Right. So that's where I'm going. What if you had a message to any parent out there when it comes to, in this day and age, so many parents want to have their kid just play one sport, right? Your pops played so many different games. If you had a message for any parent out there as to, being specific to one sport, what would you tell that parent?
Well, first of all, if they were before middle school, I'd tell them not to play contact football until they got to middle school, until the kids were developed. If they're a multi-sport guy, which is hard to do today because you have, middle school coaches and high school coaches that make these kids choose. And then you have the parents that are psycho out there. I say this in a loving way, but, they all think their kids are going to be professional athletes. And, I was fortunate to make it to pro football, had an injury that took me out. But my dad, never pressured me. He wanted me to play all sports, and I love baseball and basketball as well. He was great at all those. But when he grew up, sports was seasonal. So you played basketball after you got done with football, then spring baseball.
Yep.
And there wasn't any summer leagues or all year round soccer like they do today. So kids could enjoy the sport and then pick the sport they wanted to choose. And that's what I would tell parents. Don't pressure them early, because what happens is the kids feel that pressure and then feel like they have to make decisions, and then sometimes it becomes work and not fun. And that would be my biggest thing to tell parents. Our program, Sold Out Youth Foundation, you can go to soldouttv.com. That's what we're all about, is using athletics, to give kids a passion, to go after their passion in life and not to do drugs and alcohol. So, our goal is to provide life skills, which are so needed today in schools, because of the testing curriculums, are cutting athletic programs. They're cutting physical fitness. They're not teaching drug and alcohol abstinence. They're not teaching life skills. So, we as parents really have to fill in the gaps. And for a lot of these kids that come from broken homes, that coach is that parent.
We're going to put pressure on people to say, check out the Roman Gabriel Show podcast. You will not be disappointed. Catch it on YouTube. As a matter of fact, it was a great discussion we had with a man who's a son of a man that should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but doing Hall of Fame work after his pro football career. He is Roman Gabriel III. Hit him on Twitter, Roman Gabriel III, joining us on Freddie and Fitzsimmons. Really appreciate the time, Roman. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again, and take care and be well.
Guys, loved it. Appreciate your show, and RomanGabrielShow.com for anything you want to see NFL. Let's have a great season. I'm pumped.